Set in 1962, the story begins by introducing a nightclub security guard named Tony Lip, who was seen paying a coat check woman to give him a hat belonging to one of the wealthy businessman patrons. Tony is also known for being very good at handling problems, and he doesn't mess around when solving them. The nightclub was then closed for renovations, information that had indeed been announced long in advance. The reason Tony took the businessman's hat was apparently part of his plan to get extra money after no longer having a job.
Take this. Put it in your kit.
No thanks.
Bullshit. Take. And from now on...
Just as morning approached, Tony returned home and went straight to sleep beside his wife, who was still fast asleep. During the day, Tony was awakened by the noisy sounds of his relatives and extended family watching a game on television.
Hey, Johnny, think you could yell a little louder?
Maris is...
It's so minor.
When he saw his wife in the kitchen, Tony was quite surprised to see two black plumbers, as racism and discrimination were still very strong in that year. Tony himself was one of them, even going so far as to throw away two glasses that had been used by the two plumbers. When Tony visited his usual hang-up spot, one of his friends challenged him to a hot dog eating contest. Given the fact that he needed more money for kitchen expenses and rent, Tony accepted the challenge.
You're embarrassing your son! He is killing you!
Tony came home exhausted. When offered food by his wife, Tony honestly replied that he was already full after a bet with his friend who had managed to eat 24 hot dogs. His wife, who was about to get angry at her husband, immediately cheered up when she learned Tony had won the bet by eating 26 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
I ate 26.
Several days passed with him unemployed, and his wife began to complain about them needing to pay the rent. Tony was forced to pawn his beloved watch to meet his household's needs.
Here's 50. Yeah, pay me 60 by New Year's, you get it.
Before long, Tony received a phone call from his friend telling him about a job opening as a personal driver for a doctor. Tony was immediately interested in the job and went directly to the interview location. Arriving at the location, Tony was quite surprised to find that the doctor's residence was in a large and luxurious performance hall. Tony wasn't the only one applying for the job. Several other people had also come, so Tony had to compete with all of them.
Tony Lip.
When called in, Tony was again surprised to see so many luxurious and rare antiques. But the real surprise was the doctor himself, who turned out to be a black man.
Mr. Valenlonga, sorry to keep you waiting.
His name was Donald Shirley, or usually called Dr. Shirley, a musician skilled at playing the piano and very famous among important people. The doctor title bestowed upon him actually referred to his intelligence and skill in playing the piano, which was considered legendary and different from other musicians.
Have you ever driven professionally before?
But I could drive anything. Limos, tow trucks, snow plows, whatever.
For the next 2 months, Dr. Shirley would be on a concert tour to various cities. He needed a personal driver and bodyguard who could handle any problem on the road for a salary of $100 per week. Tenny would not only be his personal driver, but would also have to prepare his various needs.
My point is, we'll be gone for 8 straight weeks, no breaks, right up until Christmas.
Good luck, Doc.
The next morning, while Tony and his wife were still asleep, Dr. Shirley called again and wanted to speak directly with his wife. He raised the offered salary and asked for permission to borrow her husband for the next 2 months.
Yes, I'm sure. Bye now.
In the end, Tony accepted the job. On the day of departure, Tony was given a book titled The Green Book, a kind of guidebook that specifically listed hotels and spots that were safe for black people. Even though Tony was initially a very racist person, for the sake of money and the job, he tried to resign himself to it. A funny moment occurred when Dr. Shirley was already in the car, as Tony, who had refused from the start to be a valet, stubbornly refused to carry the luggage. Once on the road, we see Dr. Shirley's very stiff and elegant demeanor, contrasting with Tony, who was used to life on the streets. He casually drove the car while eating a sandwich, leading the doctor, who was worried Tony would swerve, to ask him to stop eating and stay focused on the road. Arriving at a rest area for lunch, the doctor ate calmly, observing proper table manners. As for Tony, he ate however he pleased without regard for correct etiquette. So the doctor gently reprimanded his eating style, which he felt could influence others' perceptions. Tony immediately replied that eating is a necessity. If we are still thinking about validation and other people's opinions, life will feel even harder. Just be yourself, as long as it doesn't hurt others.
Yeah.
They both continued their journey. The doctor was again shocked by Tony's behavior when he claimed he really had to pee. He stopped the car on the side of the road and was about to pee right there. For the doctor, this was considered abnormal, as he was used to a life of luxury with various facilities already provided. Arriving in the first city, Tony and the doctor stayed at a luxury hotel near the concert venue. Here we are shown how lonely Dr. Shirley was, drinking alone, unlike his other band members who were seen having fun with women. When the concert night arrived, located at the home of a wealthy aristocrat, Tony and the other drivers were seen outside, waiting for their employers to finish. It was here, for the first time, that Tony saw Dr. Shirley's performance, which was so good that he truly deserved to be called a genius pianist. Just as the doctor finished his concert, Tony was seen playing dice with the other drivers. This again sparked a small debate between the two, because, as a man of honor, the doctor considered gambling a disgraceful and harmful act.
Now wipe off your knees, you have dirt on.
That night at the hotel, Tony wrote a letter to his wife. The letter contained an update on her husband, what Tony had been doing during the trip, and, basically, that Tony was safe and sound so far. He even vented a little about his employer, Dr. Shirley, whom he considered to be a genius pianist.
He plays like Liberace, but better. He's like a genius, I think.
The next day, on the way to the second city, Tony asked a very private question, like whether the doctor had ever been married before. With great patience, the doctor explained that he was once married to a woman whose attitude was almost like Tony's, reckless. Because his profession required him to be away from home for long periods, the doctor and his wife eventually divorced, because she couldn't stand being left alone for so long. Arriving at a store to buy cigarettes and snacks, Tony happened to find a jade stone that had fallen from a display. He took it, right in view of one of the band members, who immediately reported it to Dr. Shirley.
Thank you, Ollie.
Way to mix it up.
As they were about to leave, the doctor immediately interrogated Tony, asking, "Is it true you stole something that wasn't yours?" Feeling he wasn't a thief, Tony denied it. However, when the doctor saw the jade stone himself, Tony was immediately ordered to get out and return it.
If you like Tony, I'd happily buy you the stone.
Don't bother. You took all the fun out of it.
Arriving in the second city, at a campus auditorium, Tony was tasked with checking the piano to see if it matched the brand specified in the contract. It turned out that not only was the brand wrong, but the piano was also very dirty, full of trash, and had been left that way by the local staff. This led to a small scuffle between Tony and the staff member who, because he was being difficult and spouting inappropriate words at him, made Tony become angry, and this is what happened.
Who do you think you're talking to, greaseball?
As time went on, Tony and the doctor grew closer. Still with his simple activity of writing letters with disorganized sentences, Tony would write about everything he experienced, just as it was, and it was enough to make his wife
Thank
happy.
the Lord. This morning I had steak and eggs. Now that I'm seeing it, I know.
On the way to the third city, Tony complained about his hunger, as he hadn't eaten since morning. He was really craving fried chicken. However, since the only thing available there was Kentucky Fried Chicken, he immediately stopped to buy it.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. In Kentucky.
While Tony was enjoying the fried chicken, the doctor just sat silently listening to Tony's chatter. Tony, feeling he was already familiar with his boss, offered a piece of fried chicken to the doctor. At first, the doc refused, saying he had never eaten fried chicken in his entire life, considering it unhealthy, oily, and breaded. But because Tony insisted, the doctor finally tried it too.
How do you have plates or utensils?
Come on, take it. Come on.
And who would have guessed that the doctor actually liked the fried chicken, which was indeed delicious and savory. When the doctor asked what to do with the bones, Tony replied,
What do we do about the bones?
We do this. This is what we do.
Squirrels would have eaten it anyway.
Pick it up, Tony.
Nature takes care.
Arriving in the next town, they got a cheap hotel that seemed unsuitable for someone like Dr. Shirley. However, since the doctor said it was okay, Tony just went along with it, and he himself would stay at another hotel not far from where the doctor was staying.
Just this one?
Thank you.
Not long after Tony left, Doc, who was sitting alone outside, was bothered by several people of his own race playing marbles. Doc, feeling disturbed, chose to go to a bar and have a drink out there.
Floyd, come on, man.
Before long, Tony was called out by one of the band members, telling him about the doctor being in trouble at the bar. It turned out he was being ganged up on and harassed by white men there, so Tony, who was used to situations like this, immediately shouted.
Hand him over. We walk out, won't be a problem.
Need a Brillo pad to wash these dishes with.
Go. Now!
Because one of the thugs pulled out a knife, Tony slowly put his hand behind his back as if reaching for a pistol. Whether he really had a pistol or not, it managed to scare the thugs. Even the bar owner there pulled out a shotgun to break up the commotion.
Let him go.
The next night, the doctor performed his concert smoothly. Tony, who was also watching, felt very happy and proud to have played a part in the success of this concert tour.
Louisville, thank you for your warm hospitality.
The next morning, while continuing their journey to the next city, the car they were driving broke down due to a lack of water. While Tony was fixing it, Doc, who needed some fresh air, got out of the car, just as there were several people of his own race working in a field. It is here we see the judgment from his own people, who saw the doctor as different. Feeling uneasy and uncomfortable, the doctor chose to act normally, until finally Tony told him to get back in. Arriving at the next concert location, which was at the home of a wealthy businessman, the doctor gave a perfect performance. However, during the intermission for dinner, the doctor who wanted to go to the toilet was forbidden from the host from using their toilet, and just where the doctor had to urinate.
Right out there for that pine.
I prefer not to use that.
Yes, the doctor was told to pee in the wooden outhouse used by the gardeners and servants.
This proves that the host was extremely racist in treating someone different from his own race. Even though the doctor was a respected and famous musician, the racist behavior shown by the host didn't differentiate who the person was, even if it was someone famous like Dr. Shirley.
Why don't I just pull over?
Animals go in the woods.
Difference between you and me, I'd have zero problem going on with.
The next morning, while at breakfast, the doctor watched Tony writing a letter to his wife. Feeling the wording needed improvement, the doctor then helped Tony write his letter, the results of which made his wife emotional as she read the beautiful words.
Put this down.
It's very romantic. And I will love you the rest of my life.
They also went downtown and found a store selling luxury clothes. An unpleasant incident occurred again when the attendant forbade the doctor from trying on clothes in the fitting room. Already used to this kind of treatment, the doctor chose to leave without making an issue of the attendant's attitude. Moving on to the next city, as they were about to check into a hotel, Tony happened to meet two of his friends from New York who happened to be working in this city. Knowing Tony was working for a black man, his friend suggested he just quit and come work with them.
Per fare soldi buoni.
Questo non è il posto adatto per parlare.
Scorda il chisto.
That night, as Tony was about to leave the hotel, Dr. Shirley was suddenly outside waiting for Tony to appear. As it turned out, the doctor had accidentally overheard Tony's conversation with his two friends about changing jobs. The doctors felt afraid of being abandoned by Tony because, without Tony, the doctor truly couldn't take care of himself.
Prima di accettare la sua offerta, dobbiamo parlare. I think you're doing a wonderful job.
It is here we see Tony's loyalty, as he firmly states that he will not quit the job. Even though it was difficult at first, Tony was very comfortable working for the doctor and would never leave him for someone else.
I ain't going nowhere, Doctor.
Throughout the trip, Tony continued to send letters to his wife with help from the doctor, who composed the beautiful words. His wife, who was increasingly amazed, would read the letters out loud to her girlfriends.
John,
Yeah.
I want a letter.
Yeah, as soon as you make a meal.
City after city, concert after concert, they went through it together as Tony and the doctor grew closer and closer until the two became like close friends.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I.
On the way to the next city, Tony and the doctor were stopped by two police officers who were on night patrol. As Tony got out to state their destination, the officer's attention was immediately diverted to the doctor sitting in the car. Apparently, this city had a strict curfew for black people, which led to a small argument between Tony and the officers, to the point where the officer insulted Tony, calling him half a necro.
You half a nigga yourself. Hands in the air! Now! Now!
As a result, Tony and the doctor were hauled to the police station because of the punch Tony threw. The doctor once again berated Tony for his arrogant attitude. Meanwhile, the officers were seen laughing and still mocking someone who was considered different.
I'm chatting up with his pals, enjoying a nice cup of coffee. Yet I'm the one who pays the price. I'm the one who's gonna miss the Birmingham show.
Unable to remain in a cell, the doctor asked for his right to make a phone call. Not long after he did, something surprising suddenly happened.
Chief Pratt, who's this? Yes, sir. I can
A call from someone very important, the police commissioner from the central office, who said he got a call from someone with a higher rank than him. Whoever the doctor had contacted, they were both immediately released, right then.
Get him out.
What? Got him loose. That nigga what hit me! You keep your job, then you do what I gotta tell you to do when I gotta tell you to do it. And I'm telling you to get him the out.
It turned out the person the doctor had contacted was the Attorney General of the United States. While Tony was proud and thought it was cool, The doctor, however, felt extremely ashamed and valueless, having to ask the Attorney General for help just to get him out of jail. This led to a small argument between them, even bringing up race and skin color.
You wouldn't talk so much.
So yeah, my world is way more blacker than you.
Stop the car, Tony!
In the pouring rain, the doctor got out of the car and poured out all his pent-up feelings, that he had been patient enough in facing discrimination from others. With his status as a rich musician living in a castle, the doctor was actually very lonely and constantly felt alone. How could he not? He was not accepted by white people, nor by his own people. Arriving at the inn, the doctor and Tony shared a room because all the other rooms were full of couples visiting. The doctor and Tony finally apologized to each other for their unpleasant attitudes during the trip.
Thanks for helping me with the letters.
Good night, Tony.
They arrived at the final concert city, at a hotel. As usual, Doc was again treated poorly when the hotel manager placed him in a small, narrow storage room as his break room. While Tony and the others were eating in the restaurant, the manager forbade the doctor from eating there, citing tradition and strict rules in this hotel that prohibited any black person from eating with white people. This led to some tension to get the doctor allowed to eat there.
Either I eat in this room, or I'm not performing tonight.
Because Doc threatened not to perform, the manager tried to talk to Tony to persuade his boss to perform anyway. The manager even tried to bribe Tony to get him to play, but...
Stop, Tony. It's all right.
Doc managed to stop Tony from using violence. Doc left the decision to Tony whether to play or not. And guess what Tony's answer was?
Let's get out of here. Don, don't do this. Now, you signed a contract. Now, I know you're...
After deciding not to perform at the final concert, Doc and Tony went to a bar specifically for black people. Instead of performing in a fancy place and getting paid well, Doc chose to perform and entertain the common people and liven up the atmosphere in that place. After the free concert, Tony noticed two thugs intending to rob them, at which point Tony immediately fired his pistol, revealing that Tony had indeed been carrying a firearm for security all this time. The two of them then continued their journey home. Because Tony was exhausted, Doc took over the wheel and drove Tony all the way to his house.
Tony, wake up.
Arriving in front of the house, Tony invited Doc to stop by. However, afraid he wouldn't be accepted, especially since it was Christmas Eve and there would surely be many people gathered at his house, Doc chose to just go home and spend Christmas Eve alone.
Merry Christmas, Tony.
Merry Christmas.
Let's go.
While Tony was greeting newly arrived relatives and friends, he received a surprise guest whose arrival was completely unexpected. Yes, it was Dr. Shirley who had worked up the courage to come. A look of joy and happiness radiated from Tony's face as he had truly wanted the doctor to be at his home.
Everybody.
This is Dr. Donald Shirley.
Make some room. Get this man a plate.
Thank you for sharing your husband with me.
Thank you for helping him with the letters.
I see the crystal raindrops
Adapted from a true story, this is The Green Book.